Millionaire discovers shocking abuse at home. His incredible response transforms their lives for. James was everything the American dream promised. A self-made millionaire at 38, he lived in a suburb of Atlanta, the kind of place where manicured lawns sparkled in the sun, and the front porches seemed made for lemonade and laughter. He owned a thriving software company, but despite his success, a nagging weight tugged at his heart. It was an invisible burden of pressure to maintain his status, to live up to the expectations everyone had formed around him. Every Saturday, he traded his tailored suits for a gentle smile at the local community center. It was here, amidst the laughter of children and the warmth of volunteers, that he felt a fleeting sense of freedom. But that day, as he wiped his brow and set up chairs for an event, he overheard whispers from the back room. They were hushed but heavy, soaked in desperation. A single mother named Maria was battling a nightmare, just a block away, tangled in the claws of an abusive partner. The knowledge pierced through James like a cold wind, a chilling reminder that the perfect life he'd built coexisted with stark realities. He wanted to look away, to retreat to his world of privilege, but guilt and empathy gripped him. Could he really ignore Maria and her children as they suffered mere footsteps away? The community, filled with friendly faces, seemed to be turning a blind eye, choosing smiles over truth. A fire ignited inside him. He brainstormed ways to bring attention to Maria's plight, thinking of ways to rally support for her family. If only people saw, if only they cared. So, in an effort to bridge the gap, James organized a community gathering. He envisioned neighbors coming together, openly discussing support systems and resources they could provide. He felt completely alive, hopeful. But as invitations went out, doubts began to creep in. Whispers around the neighborhood grew. Why meddle in someone else's family? And what's really going on here? Were muffled behind friendly faces. The more James pushed, the more resistance he encountered. Each skeptical glance fed his own insecurities. Had he crossed a line? Was he trying to right the world while putting his own armor at risk? Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Days turned into anxious nights. Just as he began to gain clarity, Maria's situation took a darker turn. The whispers in the community grew louder, feeding fears and biases that crippled his resolve. Who was he to take a stand? His wealth didn't make him a savior, it made him a target for gossip. But beneath the surface, he felt the pulse of something greater, an urgency to challenge the complacency while still being compassionate. Tension hung heavy as he yearned for change, and yet felt paralyzed. Could he still be the good neighbor everyone talked about while quietly suffering himself? As James stared across the street toward Maria's home, a confrontation erupted outside the door. Shadows danced in the fading light, and he stood at a crossroads, heart racing. Would he risk everything he'd built to stand up for what was right, or retreat back into the safety of his perfectly manicured lawn? The question loomed, echoing in the quiet between breaths, a truth that begged for resolution. James's heart thundered in his chest as he watched the scene unfold. It was chaotic, two figures shouting at each other, one clearly distraught, the other imposing. Maria's voice, usually soft, was now a symphony of fear and anger. She pleaded to be heard, but every word seemed to be met with the deafening roar of her partner, a man he'd seen lingering on the outskirts of their neighborhood, towering and danger-laden. A surge of adrenaline propelled James forward. He couldn't just stand there. As much as fear held him back, a deeper instinct pushed him on. He wasn't just a businessman, he was a neighbor, a human being. He couldn't ignore the reality unfolding before him. The lawn chairs he had set up for his event now felt like a lifetime away, a distant memory compared to the urgent need for action. James hurriedly walked across the street, his mind racing with possibilities and consequences. What could he say? Should he call for help? Or would that make things worse? Just as he reached the walkway, the front door slammed open, and Maria stumbled outside, eyes wide, her cheek marred with a fresh mark. The sight tightened James's chest. The confrontation was escalating, and she needed someone to stand alongside her. Hey, stop. James's voice cut through the air, steady and loud enough to draw attention. Both figures turned. Maria's partner's eyes narrowed, rippling with anger, while Maria showed a flicker of surprise and hope. What the hell are you doing here? The man growled, stepping into a confrontational stance, muscles coiled like a spring. Back off. I'm not here to fight you. I'm here to help Maria, James replied, every word infused with purpose. He could feel the tremor in his voice, but he didn't allow it to overwhelm him. This isn't right. There are better ways to handle whatever's happening. Maria glanced at him, uncertainty flashing across her face. But there was a glimmer of something else, courage, perhaps? In that moment, James felt the weight of his decision. This was more than a neighborly concern. It was a stand against a wrong that had been hidden for far too long. She doesn't want you here. The partner barked, taking a step forward. James held his ground, locked in a silent battle of wills. It's not about what she wants right now, James said, firm but calm. It's about what she deserves. No one deserves to live in fear. No one. As the words spilled out, James noticed the shifting tension. The man hesitated slightly, casting a wary glance at Maria, who was now standing a bit taller. Her chin lifted just a fraction. In that charged moment, he realized this wasn't just a rescue mission. This was a transformation, a fight for dignity. All the late nights pondering what more he could do transformed into a pointed, tangible action. A choice to face adversity rather than shy away from it. But just as hope began to bloom, the man lunged forward, fists clenched, rage flashing in his eyes. Everything slowed, a moment stretched into eternity. Would James become another statistic in this cycle of violence? At that moment, the sound of sirens pierced the evening air. Relief flooded through James. Had he acted just in time? He turned to Maria, who wore a mixture of fear and hope. You're not alone, he whispered, voice steady despite his racing pulse. Help is coming. We'll get through this. But as the blue lights lit the neighborhood with a surreal glow, fear washed over him. Would their lives be forever changed? Or would this merely signal a new beginning, riddled with complications? What would happen when the dust settled? The sound of the sirens drew closer, painting the quiet street with a sense of urgency. As the flashing lights illuminated the tension-filled yard, James felt a wave of conflicting emotions crash over him. The fleeting relief of help arriving, mixed with the uncertainty of what those lights might mean for Maria and the partner who was still standing there, seething with rage. The officer stepped out of the patrol car, his posture confident but cautious. He surveyed the scene, his eyes flicking from Maria's trembling form to James, who still stood in defiance. What's going on here? He called out, voice steady, but there's an undercurrent of alertness. Maria seized the moment, stepping forward. He's hurting me, she shouted, her voice trembling yet resolute. It felt like a dam breaking, words long held back finally spilling forth. The officer nodded, stepping closer, grounding the situation. Let us take a moment, he said, his voice commanding but gentle. I need everyone to take a step back. James could see Maria's partner's jaw clenched tightly, like he was a live wire about to snap. But there was something more moving in that moment, the way Maria stood. Vulnerable yet unyielding. She had taken a stand, igniting a spark of bravery that lit up her face. James took a small step backward, giving space. He wanted to hold her hand, to offer reassurance, but he understood that right now, it was best to allow the authorities to step in. He felt the tension in his own muscles release just a fraction, as he trusted that this was the right path. Stay out of this. The partner spat, eyes darting between Maria and the officer. She's just trying to get attention. This is all nonsense. Maria's expression hardened. No more. I won't pretend anymore. The officer glanced at James, gauging his role in all this, then returned his focus to the partner. You need to cooperate. We need to hear both sides. As the events unfolded, James felt himself wish for honesty to prevail. If only Maria's truth could break through the weight of the lies that had kept her silent for so long. He thought of his own life, simple and uneventful, compared to the storm brewing in front of him. Maria, he said softly, hoping she could hear him over the roar of the situation. "You're doing the right thing." The officer turned to Maria, his gaze steady. "I want you to feel safe. Can you tell me what happened?" With palpable courage, Maria explained everything: the insults, the confrontations, the bruises that marked not only her skin but her spirit. She breathed deep between sentences, determination igniting her voice. James watched as she spoke, her tension releasing into the air. With every word, she seemed to reclaim pieces of herself that had been lost, shattered by fear for too long. He felt a blossoming warmth in his chest, a sense of belonging to something greater, something important. Just then, the partner took a step back, his bravado cracking. Anger bubbled beneath his surface, but fear and confusion began to take hold. He could sense the shift. The balance of power was tipping, and all because of Maria's brave admission. As the officer concluded his conversation with Maria, he turned to her partner. "We need to discuss your side as well, but you're going to need to come with us." The man's eyes widened. The initial spark of defiance was fading, replaced by the harsh realization that his control was slipping away. James's heart raced. He couldn't help but wonder if this marked the end of an era for Maria, or merely the beginning of a long road ahead. What would this mean for her? For him? For their community? As the officer led the partner toward the patrol car, James met Maria's gaze once more. What lay ahead was uncertain, difficult conversations, a fragile peace, and a newfound strength. But for now they had fought back against fear, and that felt monumental. What would be the next step in their journey toward healing? And how would Maria rebuild her life? The weight of silence hung heavily in the air as the patrol car's door shut, the echo of its closure marking a pivotal turn in Maria's life. James felt a surge of emotions: relief, hope, and an undercurrent of anxiety about what lay ahead for her. He watched as the officer briefly spoke with another colleague before guiding Maria toward a safer spot, clearly setting the stage for a much-needed discussion. "Why don't we sit over here?" the officer suggested gently, leading Maria to a nearby bench under the glow of a street lamp. Its warm light cast soft shadows, an ironic contrast to the storm of emotions swirling around them. James lingered a few steps away, feeling more like an observer than a participant. "How are you feeling?" the officer asked, his voice calming yet firm. "I don't know," Maria whispered, her hands trembling. "I don't know if I'm doing the right thing. What if he—" Her voice trailed off, and fear flickered in her eyes. "No one's going to hurt you anymore," the officer assured her, his presence a protective force. "You took a brave step. It takes a lot to speak up. It's the first step toward your safety and healing." James felt compelled to take a step closer, wishing to comfort her without overstepping boundaries. He had watched her for so long, but never had he seen her so vulnerable yet empowered. She was a fighter, a survivor, ready to reclaim her narrative. "Maria," he said softly, breaking the silence. "I'm here for you. You're not alone in this." She turned her gaze to him, and the softness in her expression pulled at his heart. "Thank you, James. I never thought I could say those things aloud." Just then, Maria's partner was escorted into the patrol car, still fuming, but a hint of defeat shadowed his face. It was as if the weight of 1,000 lies had begun to lift, and James could sense that this moment was the beginning of something transformative, not just for Maria, but for everyone involved. "But what happens now?" Maria asked, her voice trembling slightly. "What if he comes back? What if he tries to hurt me again?" The officer leaned forward, earnest. "There are measures we can take to ensure your safety. We can issue a restraining order. And you have resources available for counseling and support. Your safety is the priority." James's heart lifted, and he could see Maria's resolve strengthening. "There's a community center not far from here. They have support groups for people who have gone through similar situations," he added, eager to share a lifeline. Maria's eyes sparkled with the hint of hope. "You really think I could?" "Absolutely," he said firmly. "You deserve every chance to heal and rebuild. We're here to help you do that." In that moment, a flurry of thoughts raced through James's mind. How could they make this work? What would it take to help her find her way toward a new life? He felt a fire ignite within him, a desire to fight for her even more fiercely than before. Maria took a deep breath, steadying herself. "I'm ready. I want to fight back, not just for me, but to show others that they can too. The officer nodded. That's the spirit. And we'll be with you every step of the way. As they spoke, the shadows of uncertainty began to lift, revealing glimmers of possibility. There was still so much work ahead, but the air felt lighter, somehow a fresh start. James smiled, feeling the warmth in his chest deepen. Let us take this journey together, one day at a time. Little did they know, this was just the beginning. The fight ahead would test their resolve in ways they never imagined. But together, they'd face whatever came next. What new challenges would emerge as they sought to heal from the wounds of the past? And could their newfound partnership withstand the trials ahead? Maria took another deep breath, feeling the weight of the world beginning to shift. It was as if each inhalation filled her with a little more courage, and each exhalation released some of the fear that had tightly clenched around her heart. She looked over at the officer, then at James. Their encouragement wrapped around her like a warm blanket in the chilly night air. I want to talk to someone who really understands, she whispered, her voice gaining strength. Will you help me find that? Of course, James said, his eyes lighting up. The community center can help with that. They have professionals who specialize in helping people just like you. Maria nodded, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. I don't want to feel scared anymore. It's okay to feel scared, the officer reassured her softly. Change is daunting, but you're doing the hardest part right now. You're being brave, and that counts for a lot. Her heart swelled. Maria turned to James again, drawing strength from his unwavering support. I hadn't even considered that I could talk about it. I thought I'd just have to carry it all myself. James stepped a little closer, his sincerity shining through. You don't have to carry it alone. We're all in this together. She watched as the patrol car drove away, taking with it a piece of her past. The relief danced in her chest, but a small flicker of anxiety remained. What if he found her? What if she couldn't truly escape the grip of fear? Let us get you home first, all right? James suggested, noting the look in her eyes. You need a safe place to rest and think. Maria hesitated, memories of tense confrontations assaulting her thoughts. Her apartment, though filled with her belongings, had also been a cage. A place where love had twisted into something tormenting. Could she really go back there? I'll be with you, James promised, sensing her hesitation. And if you'd rather not, we can find a temporary place to stay. You need to feel safe first. She took a moment, weighing her options. Okay. Maybe I can go home if you promise to stay nearby? Absolutely, he affirmed, determination etched across his face. We'll get through this one step at a time. I won't let you feel alone again. As they walked back towards her apartment, Maria's heart raced. Questions raced through her mind. Would he come back? What if he didn't let her go this time? But she felt a new sense of hope alongside her fear. They arrived at her door, and Maria hesitated again at the threshold. James noticed. Want me to go in first? I can check that it's clear. Would you? Of course, he nodded, pushing the door ajar. The dim lighting illuminated the familiar space, casting long shadows that danced nervously around the room. Maria peered around James's side, anxiety bubbling but also relief to have him beside her. He stepped inside, the tension easing slightly as nothing stirred. It's okay, Maria. You're safe, he said, turning back to her. She stepped forward, crossing the threshold into her sanctuary, but it felt different now. A sense of possibility began to bloom. As they settled into the living room, James took a seat near her. What do you want to do next? Maria considered, feeling weary but determined. I think I need to call my mom. I've kept so much from her. His expression shifted, understanding washing over him. That's a great idea. You don't have to go through this alone. Just as Maria pulled out her phone, a text pinged in her pocket, the screen lighting up with an all-too-familiar name. Her stomach dropped, anxiety flooding back. What is it? James asked, noticing her expression sour. It's him, she whispered, the words catching in her throat. The moment hung thick with tension. She felt cornered, her heart pounding like a drum. The struggle between the urge to fight back against her past and the fear lingering in her mind threatened to consume her in an instant. But she could feel James beside her, his presence grounding her, ready to fight with her. As she opened the message, dread mingled with a flicker of defiance. Would this be the test that would shape her future? Or would she finally break free once and for all? What awaited her on the other side of that screen? And would they have the strength to confront whatever was coming next? Maria stared at her phone as if it were a snake poised to strike. The message blinked expectantly, urging her to open it. Her hands trembled, caught between the safety of the moment and the danger lurking just beyond this fragile tranquility. What does it say? James asked, his voice low and steady. She swallowed hard, the air thick in her throat. I don't know if I want to read it. Maria, he said softly, whatever it is, you can handle it. I'm right here. Taking another deep breath, she finally swiped her finger across the screen, revealing the message. Each word felt like a weight pulling her deeper into fear. I miss you. Why are you ignoring me? You can't run away forever. A shiver ran down her spine. He saying I can't escape, she whispered, the tremor in her voice betraying her facade of bravery. James leaned in closer, a protective warmth radiating from him. You're not running anymore, Maria. You're stepping forward. That's what matters. Tears pricked at the corners of her eyes. Could she really put her past behind her? The message illuminated the old fears, urging the darkness to take root again. But in James, she found the light she had been missing. Do you want to reply? He asked gently. Hesitation flooded her thoughts. What would it accomplish? A part of her wanted to lash out, to set boundaries, to show she would no longer be a prisoner. But another part, the more vulnerable part, feared the repercussions. No. Not yet, she finally said, putting her phone face down on the table. I need to talk to my mom first to get her advice. Good idea, James said with a nod. He looked in her eyes, as if silently urging her not to falter. Maria fished for her contact, her fingers shaking as she pressed call. The line rang, and each tone felt like a countdown to vulnerability. Her heart raced in rhythm with the ringing. Would her mom understand? Would she blame her for everything that had happened? Hello. Her mom's voice came through the speaker, warm and familiar, laced with concern. Maria? Is everything okay? Mom, Maria began, her voice catching. I need to talk. I'm here. Take your time. She took a deep breath, feeling James's eyes steady on her. In that moment, she knew this was the turning point, not just for her, but for everything that lay ahead. Something happened. I need help, she said finally, letting the weight of her reality spill out. As she spoke, Maria felt the knots in her chest begin to loosen. It wasn't easy, words tumbled onto each other. Emotions flowed like an unstoppable river, but her mom listened, absorbing every detail with patience and love. After a long pause, her mom replied, Honey, I'm so proud of you for reaching out. You're stronger than you think. A smile broke through Maria's tears. For the first time in a long while, she felt the possibility of healing. James placed a comforting hand on her shoulder, grounding her. See, you're not alone, he whispered. With her mom's reassurance ringing in her mind, Maria felt a new resolve grow within her. I want to take steps to be safe, and I want to find someone to talk to. I don't want to carry this all alone anymore. That's great, sweetie. I'll help you find the right resources. We can figure this out together. Just as they wrapped up the call, the tension in the room shifted. Maria's phone buzzed again. Her heart sank instantly. The fear returned, sharp and unyielding. She glanced at the screen. Another message from him. James tensed at her side. Should I read it? No, I will. Her voice was stronger now, defiant against the whirlwind gathering inside her. With steely determination, she opened the new text. You think you can run to him? I'll always be watching. You're mine. A chill ran through her, but fury ignited within. Her eyes met James's. The unwavering support was a lifeline. I can't let him control me anymore, she said fiercely. I want to be his anymore. But even as she spoke the words, a nagging doubt lingered. Would cutting ties truly sever his grip? As new determination surged alongside her fear, a realization dawned. It wouldn't be easy, but the fight for her freedom was worth it. And as they sat there, hearts pounding and vulnerabilities laid bare, Maria understood this was just the beginning. She had taken the first step down a long road. What would she confront next? And would she have the courage to keep moving forward? Maria sat in the silence that followed, the hum of her phone echoing against the walls of her thoughts. The air, heavy with uncertainty, felt suffocating. It was as if the world had narrowed down to just her, and the void that lingered from the text. "What do you want to do?" James asked, his tone steady yet laced with concern. She looked at him, a mixture of gratitude and fear swirling inside her. "I don't know. I feel trapped." The truth weighed on her like an anchor. "Let us take it one step at a time," he said, his eyes reflecting a calm serenity. "How about we go for a walk? You don't have to be alone in this." The thought of stepping outside the familiar confines of her room was daunting. But another part of her yearned for the fresh air, for movement. "Okay," she whispered, her heart tinged with hope. They walked side by side. The world around them alive with sounds, birds chirping, leaves rustling, and the distant laughter of children playing. Each step on the pavement echoed like a tiny victory. Maria breathed in the fragrant warmth of the day, pulling it deep into her lungs as if hoping to carry a piece of it within her. Do you think he'll keep coming after me?" she finally asked, fear lacing her voice. James frowned. "I don't know. But no one has the right to control you. You're stronger than that. As long as you keep taking steps forward, he loses power over you." Maria wanted to believe that, wanted to cling to his words as a lifeline. But doubt still lingered in her mind. What if he doesn't stop? What if he finds a way to get back in? "Then we face it together," he replied firmly. "You won't be alone." They continued walking, and with every stride, Maria released some of the tension coiling in her body. James shared stories about his own struggles, tales that made her laugh despite herself. She marveled at how easily he could lighten the weight of her worries. A nearby park came into view, dotted with families and friends enjoying the fleeting hours of sunlight. James smiled at the sight. "Let us sit down over there. I think it'll help to just breathe." They settled on a bench under a sprawling oak tree, sunlight filtering through the leaves. Maria leaned back, letting the warmth wash over her. It felt good to be outside, to be alive. "You know," she began, her voice shaking slightly, "I've always been terrified of standing up to him. I didn't want to deal with the consequences." With a thoughtful expression, James nodded. "You're not alone in that fear. Standing up for ourselves is hard. But the question is, what do we do with that fear? Do we let it control us, or use it to fuel our strength?" Maria chewed on his words, her heart clenching. "What if I don't want to fight anymore? What if I just want to move on and forget?" "But moving on doesn't mean forgetting," he countered gently. "It means acknowledging your past, and choosing to rise above it. You're allowed to feel hurt, scared, angry. All those feelings are valid. But it's what you do with them that matters." As his encouraging words sank in, she felt a flicker of something shift inside. Maybe it was courage, maybe hope. She wanted to believe that a future lay ahead free of fear and doubt. Suddenly, her phone vibrated again. This time she didn't want to ignore it. Just like her emotional journey, she needed to face the daunting truth. Taking a deep breath, she glanced at the screen. The message read, "I know where you are. You can't escape me." Defiance surged through her veins, pushing aside the anxiety that threatened to overcome her. "I can't let him win," she said, voice steady and full of purpose. James turned to her, pride shining in his eyes. "You won't? Not anymore." As they sat there, a new chapter unfolding in the fight ahead, Maria understood that this was just the beginning. The next step she would take could lead her to safety or into confrontation. But either way, she felt something powerful. She was ready to claim her life. What awaited her in the shadows, and would she be brave enough to face it? Maria felt a surge of energy pulsing through her, a determination that lit up the corners of her mind clouded by doubt. She could feel the gravity of James' unwavering belief in her. It made her heart pound, each beat a reminder of the fight she needed to embrace. "What are you thinking?" James asked softly, his eyes searching hers, as if trying to untangle the thoughts swirling beneath the surface. I'm tired of being scared, tired of feeling like a shadow in my own life," Maria admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. The weight of truth began to feel lighter on her shoulders, perhaps because James was there, anchoring her. "Then let us shed that shadow together. You took the first step by being here today. The next steps are yours to decide," he said, and his words resonated deep within her. Maria drew in a breath of fresh air, feeling the sun's warmth seep into her skin. Just outside the park, a group of children were playing tag, their laughter ringing like music. The sound pulled her thoughts to a time when joy was easy and life felt carefree. A small smile crept across her face, fighting its way through the dread. "I remember when I used to laugh like that," she said, her voice tinged with a bittersweet nostalgia. "I was happy, unburdened by this darkness." "Then let us find that laughter again," James replied, his smile infectious. "But first, maybe we need to put some boundaries down. Face your fears instead of running from them." Maria nodded. The idea of confronting her past felt daunting, yet it sparked a flicker of hope. "What does that even look like?" she asked, a hint of skepticism in her voice. "It starts with you. Do you have anyone you trust who can help you?" For a moment, she contemplated her choices. There were people in her life who wanted to support her, but who would stand against him. "I think I could talk to my sister," she finally said. "She has been through tough times too. Maybe she'll understand." "Then that's your next step. Call her," James encouraged. Just then, Maria's phone buzzed again. The fear washed over her like icy water, almost paralyzing her. She glanced at the screen, dread tightening in her stomach. The message read, "You think you can just walk away?" Her heart quickened, but this time it didn't feel like a weight. It felt like a push. "James," she said, anxiety sharpening her voice. "What if I can't handle this? What if he comes after me?" "He may try," James said, clenching his fist in determination. "But you've got the strength of your sister, the support of friends, and the determination to stand tall. Remember, you aren't just surviving anymore. This is about living your life, not hiding from it." Maria straightened up, a newfound fire igniting inside her. "You're right," she breathed. "I'm done being scared." With resolute energy, she pushed her phone down beside her and leaned forward. "I'll call her now." As she navigated through her contacts, the weight of anxiety transformed into anticipation. She closed her eyes for a moment, steadying her breath. The call rang, each beep echoing the rhythm of her heartbeat. "Hey, Maria," her sister said cheerfully, the jubilation in her voice soothing the jagged edges of Maria's nerves. "Hey, can we talk?" Maria asked, her voice steady. "Of course. What's up?" Taking a deep breath, she plunged into the conversation, her sister's warmth wrapping around her like a protective cocoon. As laughter bubbled up, Maria couldn't shake the sense that the clouds were beginning to lift. Yet, in the back of her mind, doubt and fear still loomed like storm clouds. Would sharing her truth bring relief or unleash a wave of chaos? After hanging up, she felt hopeful, yet a part of her was still trembling on the edge of uncertainty. "Share the details, you've got this," James said simply, nudging her back to the present. But deep down, Maria knew the real battle was still ahead. Would facing her truth empower her, or would it unleash her fears even more? As the sun dipped lower in the sky, casting golden sparks in the twilight, she understood there was no turning back now. What would happen when she finally faced him? Would she reclaim her freedom? Or would the confrontation plunge her deeper into darkness? Maria squeezed her eyes shut, the warmth of the setting sun bathing her cheeks. Every tick of the clock echoed in her mind as she replayed her sister's voice, its melody both reassuring and unsettling. "You have to tell me everything," she had urged. It was a request that weighed heavily on her heart. "How am I supposed to say it?" she whispered, half to herself and half to the rustling leaves overhead. The night air began to cool, carrying a scent of flowers mixed with fading daylight. She stole a glance at James, who sat quietly beside her, his presence a steady flame against her swirling doubts. "Start with the truth," he said softly, his voice like a balm for her jangling nerves. "You're not in this alone." She watched as a couple jogged by, chatting casually, uninhibited by any shadows. It felt so foreign, this carefree existence. She couldn't help but wonder, would she ever feel that light again? Taking a deep breath, Maria focused on the moment, pushing down the bubble of panic swelling inside her. "Okay," she said. "When we were kids, my sister and I, we had this little world of our own. It was perfect until it wasn't." Her voice faltered, recalling the memories that shadowed both joy and pain. Shifting her gaze, she saw James nodding, urging her to continue. "It started with him. My so-called father. It was always about him, his anger, his abuse. We didn't have a say. When my sister began to stand up for herself, he turned on her. And me. James' brow furrowed, anger flaring behind his kind gaze. You felt helpless? Maria swallowed hard, the lump in her throat a reflection of years of unspoken words. Helpless and terrified. We escaped into silence, thinking maybe he'd stop if we just made it through the day. I thought growing up would mean leaving it all behind. James leaned closer, the intensity of his expression grounding her. But you can confront it now. This is your story, and it's time to take control. With renewed conviction swelling in her chest, Maria nodded. I need to tell my sister everything, the depths of what happened. I've been so scared that she'd think I was weak for being afraid of him. That's not weakness, Maria. You're facing it, he insisted, his voice firm yet supportive. And your sister needs to hear it. You both do. His conviction rippled through her. She was not weak, she was strong for even considering this confrontation. For even beginning to shed the layers of darkness that had attached themselves to her for so long. Yet, as the possibility of sharing her truth loomed closer, waves of fear broke over her heart. What if she revealed too much? What if it triggered something within her sister? Maria's breath quickened. The anxiety sent a shiver down her spine, reminding her that feeling strong didn't erase the gravity of what lay ahead. Just give it time, James said, sensing her hesitation. Don't rush it. You'll find the words when you're ready. He paused, allowing the moment to settle between them. How do you feel about reaching out to her again? Maria thought about her sister's laughter, the way it lit up her world. It felt like armor against the bitterness of her past. I think I can do that. The decision solidified in her mind as she looked around the park, at the families walking together, laughter echoing like a promise. This was a new chapter. She felt it burning inside her, a kind of hope that was stirring around long-buried fears. I'll reach out to her tonight, Maria finally said, determination punctuating her voice. It's time we stepped out of the shadows together. But as dusk deepened and the moon peeked through the clouds, Maria wondered about the storm that awaited her. The text from him still weighed heavily on her mind. Whatever he had planned, she could feel it creeping closer. How would she handle the inevitable fallout? Every step forward also meant confronting her past, and the fears that lived within it. With her pulse racing, she steadied herself for the challenge. The question loomed large. Would she find strength in vulnerability? Or was darkness still waiting to close in around her again? The night sky was heavy with stars, but Maria felt an overwhelming sense of clarity amidst the chaos that had clouded her thoughts for too long. James sat beside her, an unwavering presence of strength, and for the first time in ages, she allowed herself to believe that she would be okay. I'm ready, she whispered, breaking the silence that had settled like a comforting blanket. It's time to confront my past, to face the truth and take back my power. James turned to her, his eyes wide with encouragement. That's the spirit, Maria. Just take it one moment at a time. You don't need all the answers right now, you just need to start. The thought of reaching out to her sister felt monumental. Yet it also beckoned the kind of relief that she long feared. With every word she shared with James, the weight on her heart lessened a bit more. Can you help me find a way to share this with her? Maria asked, her voice steady but still tinged with vulnerability. I mean, how do I even start? It's so much. Just let her in bit by bit, James suggested gently. Maybe tell her what you've been through, what you felt. Show her the little pieces first. Maria nodded, still unsure, but urged on by James's confidence. Okay, she said. Tonight I'll call her. I will. They sat in the park for a while longer, the air buzzing softly with the sounds of laughter and life around them. Maria closed her eyes, letting herself feel the warmth on her face. She inhaled deeply, the scent of grass and blooming flowers filling her lungs. This was peace. This was her present. In a funny way, I feel lighter, she confessed, smiling at the sensation of hope unfurling inside her. Like I'm shedding a skin that's been holding me back. Exactly, James exclaimed, his enthusiasm infectious. Each step you take is a testament to that strength. The past can only hold you if you let it. You're breaking free, Maria. Just keep moving forward. As dusk settled, Maria's resolve strengthened. They both rose, and as they walked back to her apartment, she felt a new connection to her surroundings, as if the world was rooting for her. This was a time for healing. This was a time for bravery. When they reached her home, the usual anxiety crept back. With a practiced calm, Maria pressed her hand against the door frame, drawing support from the sturdy wood. She turned to James, who stood waiting for her next move, his expression patient and understanding. "Okay, here I go," she said, her heart racing with both fear and anticipation. James nodded, offering a supportive smile that made her feel seen. "You've got this." She took her phone in hand and dialed her sister's number, her fingers suddenly heavy with emotion. 1 ring. 2 rings. With each second that ticked by, her mind raced with fears of uncertainty and what-ifs. But she pressed through, anchoring herself in the moment. "Hello." Her sister's voice broke through the haze of self-doubt, bringing warmth and familiarity. "Hey, it's me," Maria managed, her voice tight. "I wanted to talk." "Sure. Everything okay?" Her sister's tone shifted immediately, concern flooding in. "Yes, I mean no. I need to share something important." There was a pause, and Maria felt the weight of the moment. "I've been going through a really tough time and I didn't tell you. I thought I could handle it myself. Tell me everything." The seriousness in her sister's voice reassured her, but still, trepidation washed over Maria's heart. And so she spoke, her voice trembling yet resolute. She shared pieces of her journey, of the pain and fear shackling her spirit. As she spoke, she could almost feel the chains beginning to break. The very act of voicing her truth catalyzed a shift she never thought possible. "I didn't want you to see me as weak," she confessed, choked by the truth. "But I realize now that asking for help is not weakness." With every word, Maria felt as if she were breathing life into the shadows that had plagued her for too long. The fears began to diminish as her sister responded softly, lovingly. "You are not weak. You are one of the strongest people I know. I'm so proud of you for sharing this," her sister said, voice filled with unwavering support. "We'll get through this together." Maria felt tears well up in her eyes, tears of relief, of strength, of a love that anchored her when fear had tried to pull her under. She had begun to reclaim her narrative, to turn her pain into power. As she hung up, Maria turned to James, overwhelming gratitude flooding her heart. "I did it. I told her everything." James reached out, enveloping her in a warm embrace. "I knew you could. You're remarkable, Maria. This is just the beginning of your journey. I'm here for whatever comes next." The heaviness that had once enveloped her lifted. In its wake emerged a bright sense of possibility. Together, they stood at the cusp of transformation, ready to face whatever lay ahead. But she knew the journey wouldn't be simple. There would still be shadows to face. The fear of her partner remained, threatening, but she had taken her power back. She had stepped into the light. "Thank you, James," she said, wiping her tears, her heart full. "I don't know what I'd do without you." "You'd find a way," he replied with a smile. "But I'll always be here, cheering you on." As the night deepened, Maria felt the flicker of hope. This was the moment of her transformation. This was her life, a life she would reclaim, piece by piece. The road ahead might be challenging, but within her, the fire burned brighter than ever. She could face the future because she was not alone, and together, they would find their way. So what awaited her in the shadows? Would she keep moving forward and finally break free from the chains of her past? Time would only tell, but for the first time, hope sparkled on the horizon. And with it, the promise of a new beginning. Now is the time for you to take action. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories that inspire and ignite change. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help more people find this uplifting content. Comment below your reactions and feelings about this emotional ending. Your voices matter. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Your support can make all the difference.